Welcome, everybody. I am Serious Sandy Shortbread here, joined by Soundhead18. We are going to be reviewing new Dungeons & Dragons movie that just came out, Honor Among Thieves. I know we just talked about it a little bit earlier, just before we were hitting record, but I really do hope they make a sequel to this one, because overall, I think it was pretty good. Like, I don't think it was like an Oscar-winning movie or anything like that, but definitely a fun time. So
yeah, I mean, it's not really meant to be Oscar-winning.
No,
it's not what it's going for. So,
and that is one thing I did notice about it. Like, I heard so many people comparing this to Thor Ragnarok before I went to go see it, which
I don't really see that, honestly.
In some ways, I do, just because. Just how like jokey it is at some point, and how they keep the humor and sarcasm light in that sense, in kind of a similar way that Thor Ragnarok did. But I mean, other than that, that's just about the slight little sprinkles of humor is about the only comparisons you can make. But
yeah, do you do a non-spoiler review to start off with, or anything?
Yeah, I think we'll start off with doing a non-spoiler review, and we'll tell people when to cut out if once we get to more spoilery stuff.
Yeah, I actually write reviews on like Letterboxd and sometimes IMDb. I believe I wrote my rating on IMDb for this one. I was trying to find the IMDb one. I found the Letterboxd one, so I can go through that. But the Letterboxd one doesn't have spoilers at all. But yeah.
So what did you think of the cast?
I mean, I knew a few of the characters or the cast members, but like I'm not too familiar with Chris Pine's work other than like Star Trek, and of course, what's her name, Rodriguez, I believe.
Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle Rodriguez. I of course know her from Fast and Furious mostly, and then of course Evil Dead. Oh, not Evil Dead. Why am I drawing a blank?
Yep.
Resident Evil. She's in that too. Yeah, I don't know like Justice Smith from much. Sophia Lillis, I like her from one of the shows that she did that nobody really seemed to
like watch.
Watch, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I liked her in that. Those couple of things I've seen her in. And of course, the movies. And I'm not familiar with, I don't know how you pronounce it. Reggie Jean? Or Raji Jean? However you pronounce his name, Page.
Jean Page.
Yeah. Because I haven't seen the, oh crap, that show he's in recently that all the females are liking. Bridgerton, I think it is. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of planning on it because I kind of like that sort of stuff, but. And then Hugh Grant, I've seen a couple of his stuff, but not too much. I've seen like bits and pieces of Notting Hill, and then About a Boy, I've seen things like that. He's in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. apparently, and Love Actually, I like him in that too. But overall, I mean, I'm not too big of a fan of him in general. But like in this movie, you know, his natural character kind of goes with the character of the film, so it's nice. So that really worked. What did you think of it? The casting.
I thought it was pretty good. Like, I think they did a good job of balancing like some more kind of, as you were saying, you weren't really familiar with some of these people's work. I think they did a good job of balancing new up and coming actors with people like Chris Pine that have been in the business for a little bit longer to just kind of help steer the ship. So, and I thought, I remember when I originally heard that Chris Pine was being cast as a rogue, and I was just, or not a rogue, a bard, and I was just like, I don't really see that, but it actually turned out pretty good in the film, and it's his class. Like, if you try to translate it into actual D&D, it was a little funny for me.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, does it?
Because he doesn't do like magic, and he doesn't. He's more of like a rogue that his weapon's a loot, which I mean is fine. But I was just like expecting him at some point to just like pop out this great spell or something, but it's just like no, he's just a guy carrying his his loot around, making the plans. So
Yeah, I wonder why they chose to do it that way exactly.
yeah,
I mean, maybe when it releases, maybe they'll show different stuff with the special features or something, and why they chose to do different things. But
I almost wonder if it was that they were trying to balance out the party more, where you have like
maybe
Simon and the other girl who's played by Sophia Lewis. I'm forgetting her character.
Doric.
Yeah, Doric.
Yeah, I have it popped up
Yeah,
here.
about how they're very strong. Like their main stuff is like Doric's wild shape, and then Simon his wild magic, and just so that it kind of like balances out having people that do their like kind of own thing.
Yeah. Edgin's character is kind of like more of charisma, course based, and that's same with Forge. Hugh Grant's character. And when they release the stats on the characters, it makes sense. I'd say.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't really like. I'm sure I watched the trailer before watching the movie, but like a lot of times I forget the trailers if I don't watch it recent, and then I just wanted to go in kind of blind too.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of helped with things. And just all throughout the movie, I did have to go to the bathroom like before the graveyard scene.
Oh, yep.
Real quick, but I didn't feel like I missed much.
Yeah.
There wasn't any big parts as far as I know.
No, not really.
Yeah. But like all throughout the movie, I just had a smile on my face basically because you can kind of see where pretty much somebody you can see somebody running this sort of campaign, and you can see where people would roll like a nat 1 or a nat 20 for different checks in the movie.
Yeah, I remember
and it really worked out. So.
Yeah, I remember the first time I realized, oh, that's a natural 20 is when Michelle Rodriguez's character, Holga, chucks the potato at Forge's head.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay.
Exactly.
So they're doing the slow-mo, something's about to happen.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Apparently, people didn't really care for the CGI in that one, but...
Oh, for the movie?
Like somebody was saying, well, in that specific scene, but like somebody was saying, it's not exactly supposed to be realistic in a way. It's meant to be a comical thing. So if you just have this thing coming across the screen, it kind of works. They thought,
yeah.
Which I don't know. I think the CGI was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about CGI, so I can't really say, oh yeah, this was awesome and this deserves an Oscar. But it definitely wasn't Oscar worthy in my opinion, as compared to some of the other things. But what do you think of the start of the movie? Just as a overall non-spoiler for now thing.
Yep, I think it was a good entry point. I liked the situation that they put the characters in, which basically made them give their whole backstory to like kind of set the scene, because I was kind of like, man, it is kind of funny how all these characters like that we make in D&D always have these really rich, like long backstories that are sometimes even better than how we play in the game, but it was kind of cool how they were able to work that into the intro and just kind of set the scene very well for where the characters were to launch it into the next act. But
well, actually, the campaign I'm running right now, like one of my D&D players, I mean, she's played with us one campaign, my brother was running, but like, and she just had a regular normal backstory, I guess, that I remember. But then now for this campaign I'm running, she came up with this like 1-page backstory of all this stuff that ties in with the other campaign that we had. And I was just like, all right, let's not really read through the whole thing. Just can you give just like a summary of that?
Yeah.
So
The bullet points.
that kind of yeah. So and actually, she's the one that I watched the D&D movie with.
Yeah.
Um, so that was good. We could kind of share the experience.
Yeah.
But the beginning, that certain part, which I'm sure you know which part I'm talking about, is definitely something that a D&D character or player would come up with just off the cuff and kind of plan out probably. But they would have to have kind of prior knowledge of the people in the
Yeah.
room, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
So I'll just say the name so it doesn't spoil the whole gag. But I assume you refer to Jarnathan, who
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
I guess, becoming increasingly popular, and one of the more popular characters from the movie. I think even more popular than some of the main cast. But
Yeah, I don't know if they have. I wish they have like different pops that they come out with. They should. I'm hoping,
yeah,
but I mean they promote it a lot, but I mean if it doesn't take off the way it should, in my opinion, because it's so fun and
yeah,
entertaining, but probably one of the reasons why just people aren't going
mm,
because, in my opinion, they don't really realize that it's basically a movie that you can take like your kids to, and it's basically one of those Marvel movies, and everybody goes to Marvel movies. They take their young kids, and they have a good
mhm.
time. It's the same exact
Formula,
level of,
kind
huh?
of same formula.
Well, I don't know about formula, but it's not the PG-13 isn't like a hard PG-13. It's more like action adventure PG-13 versus like profanity and blood and gore
Yeah,
PG-13. So I think because it's labeled Dungeons and Dragons, people are thinking it's going to be, bloody and gruesome or something like
mhm.
that. But no, it's not. It's something I'm actually wanting to take my son's friend, which is basically my uh, adopted nephew, to, and he's like, I don't know, 5 or 6. Because I think he'd really love it, and he's seen like some other Marvel movies and
Mhm.
stuff. But I was talking to his mom, and she was saying, "Oh no!" But then they put in innuendo and all this. But I was like, he's not going to understand some innuendo that even some adults probably don't even understand. um, but really, yeah, in my opinion, it's family friendly. There's maybe one bad word that I heard, and that was it.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I mean, people shouldn't really worry about that.
Mhm.
And it's not even Harry Potter, PG-13 because some of those gets pretty scary, especially um, with the what is it, Prisoner of
Yep.
Azkaban. That one, that one gets pretty scary, but it's like the best one.
Indeed.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe the only part that would be a little bit scary for someone that young is that part with the red wizards when they're kind of explaining the
yeah, I
backstory
agree.
of kind of the big
Yeah,
ad plot or whatever. But
yeah, that doesn't last that too long, doesn't
no,
it?
it's just a few seconds. But
Yeah, and even like with the graveyard scene, that's not scary at
yeah,
all.
there were certain points that honestly did reminisce with me for like Monty Python and the Holy Grail as I was watching it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, like that one. Yeah.
But
Um, how do you think the flow of the movie went?
I think
I've heard like different things of people saying, "Oh yeah, it was great flow," and then other people were saying, "Oh no, I didn't like it," and they should have made it faster or something stupid like that. Because in my opinion, it was fast enough, and yeah, it just went from one thing to the next to the next to the
yeah,
next.
there was
But
there's only one part that I didn't really care for, and I won't give too much away for our non-spoilering section, but there was a certain character that couldn't attune to not a music item, a magic item, because the whole gag is like this character is super inept and is always bad at doing things, and he can't even to attune to an item, which in normal D&D
you just do it,
it.
basically.
And I was just like, I understand why they
But that made
wanted
it
a
interesting,
break
too.
there, and how it ended up like turning into like a character arc for that guy, and
character building
brought some growth. But yeah, when it first kind of dragged on for the first couple of minutes, I'm like, man, they're really committing to this thing. So,
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of, in my opinion, it kind of makes sense with how they did it. It makes it more, kind of in a way, realistic.
Yeah.
If you were to bring it into actual real life, because it's not like you can take just and what I think they were going for was you were taking a high powered magic item and trying to just, level 1 or whatever, attune to this high power magic item, and it's not like you're gonna do it right off. You gotta gain experience of stuff. And in the character sense, there were certain circumstances that he kind of like had to go through or like be under pressure in order to do good things with his powers, pretty much. So that was interesting. And it worked out.
What was your favorite character overall?
That's a hard one, but, well, semi-hard. Probably mostly because I played Druid right now, it's been every D&D campaign, I believe. I like the Druid the best. And I like the actress, she's cool. But other than that, I'd have to go with Jonathan. Oh, and the cameo was pretty awesome.
From that.
I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, we'll leave that for the non-spoiler section, I guess. But
I mean, I think it was a nice aha moment to see somebody, and in my opinion, like cameos, you don't want to say who the cameos for, other than they can just look it up on IMDb. It's not a hard thing to find. Yeah, I mean, he's like the, I don't know, 10th one down or something, at least on this. But yeah, the play on his character with Holga's character was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I wonder.
And it was nice.
I wonder if that guy plays D&D, because I don't know why he would. Not that like D&D is like a bad thing, but like why he would want to cameo. Because most of the time when people cameo and stuff, it's because they're really passionate about whatever thing it is, or have a friend who's working in the film, and maybe he's really good friends with Chris Pine. But
right,
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Definitely unexpected.
I was wondering if like any of the bigger names. Let me see. Who's that guy? Well, like anybody from, what's that little podcast show? Critical Role.
Critical Role. A tiny podcast show.
Or like Joe Manganiello, if he would go in there.
No,
that would have been interesting.
Actually, I don't believe any of them were. Though, like we'd been talking also before record about the new Dragonlance series that's eventually coming out, Joe Manganiello will be heading up that. So, and I believe he will also be starring in it too. So,
really interesting. That's okay. Yeah. That's the show that. Okay.
That's
cool.
I do feel like this is super off topic, but I am sad that we never got to see Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke. I think that would have been fun, but to see Deathstroke in a movie against Ben Affleck's Batman. But Anyways,
Hmm. I did see that he made a cool D&D table.
oh yeah, he's got his.
I don't know if you watched that video.
He's
Yeah.
got like his whole basement kitted out, and like a lot of the bigger names in Hollywood that play D&D, that's the house they go to play. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever saw the room done yet, but anyways, getting back to the movie, we have a time limit.
yeah.
I got to be out of here by like 9. What do you think of the ending?
I thought it was good. There was a part that was extremely reminiscent of like Avengers Infinity War, where you've got like all the people trying to jump on the big bad evil guy at the end. I was just kind of like,
yeah. Well, and then you got the other thing that like I think that was a part too, like the big baddie being defeated. I think that was a part that like a lot of people in the theater clapped. It was crazy. And my friend was saying that was the first time she's ever heard people clap in the theater. But I'm pretty sure it's that part which is reminiscent of, I believe it was Avengers, with Loki and Hulk. If I'm not mistaken.
It definitely had. I don't think.
But then they kind of just pushed it a little further. So that was nice.
Yeah, I didn't.
But
didn't have any cheers in the showing I went to, but there was definitely like just roars and roars of laughter when that happened. But
yeah, some people were actually dressed up a little bit.
Oh yeah, really?
From mine.
That's cool.
Yeah. I can't remember if I went opening weekend. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I went opening weekend too.
It was like either opening day or I'm pretty sure it was opening day on the Friday.
Nice.
It could have been the Thursday, but I think it was the Friday. Because I think they did have some showings on Thursday, but I'm not positive. But yeah, it was good. Good turnout. I went in Smitty, so there was food and stuff. But,
nice.
Yeah. And like towards the end, actually, because I was doing the bill, I was kind of missing a couple of things, I believe, with like the little balloon thing and all that. I just missed bits and pieces, I believe. So, I mean, and things happen fast, so I'm sure I missed a couple, but that's why I need to see it again too.
It's quite a quick paced movie overall, so.
Yeah, I probably won't be able to see it in the next. Well, actually, I could probably see it tomorrow if I take the time, but we'll see. I have things to do. Anyways, what do you think? What I like to do in my reviews too is go through like overall like acting, sound, cinematography, that sort of thing too, and kind of just go down the list, and like score. So, what do you think of? Since we went through the characters, what do you think of the acting of the characters?
I think it was very, very well done. I know that my wife had mentioned she really wanted to go see the movie because of Sophia Lillis's character, and she had said that she wishes that her character was like a little bit more bold and a little bit less like self-conscious, but I think that's more just like like probably how she was told by the director to play the character. So
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Right now, at least, hopefully they keep going with this. And then maybe she gets out of that little funk or whatever. But yeah, that's probably how it was in my opinion too. More than likely, they just because somebody has to be like that in the party, and because you have all these other characters like Michelle Rodriguez's character, who's kind of course, the barbarian, so she's more like taking charge and stuff.
And I thought Hugh Grant was especially good, kind of like what you had said. He kind of was able to go right into that role of the con man, and I know in a lot of other movies I've seen him in, he's played a con man, and it was pretty good casting with that, and just with also his experience with theater and other things. It was a good transition, and I thought like kind of Chris Pine's like general chemistry with everybody just jived really well. So he was a good
Yeah.
stabilizing force in the cast. So
Yeah, and like Hugh Grant was a likable
Mhm.
bad guy. So was the actual bigger
Mhm.
bad guy, but she's kind of on the back burner sometimes, in my opinion. Because it's not like she was talking that much, as far as
No,
I could
she
tell.
was pretty quiet as far as villains go. Not a lot of monologues.
Yeah,
Yep.
but it worked. What do you think of the cinematography for
I
it?
thought it was very good. I think I'd say this is just my biggest critique of like movie trailers nowadays is like they show too much of like good
Yeah,
stuff.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's like I know there's because I watched the trailers, like usually most films that I don't end up watching the trailers for and just go right into it blind, I enjoy a lot more than if I've seen the trailer a couple times beforehand or just any kind of marketing material. But that's just me. I know
Hmm.
there's other people that feel the exact opposite about it, but thought the cinematography
Mm-hmm.
was great. I thought they especially did well when they journeyed to the Underdark. Uh, And
Mm.
kind of like some of their
Yeah.
CGI, like when you put any CGI in a darker environment, um, basically lets the artists kind of like hide mistakes and like shadows and stuff, so it makes it all kind of like look a little bit more real. But yeah, I
Mm.
enjoyed that portion and thought they did a very good job with the cinematography, especially when they fight dragon that you see in the trailer. So
Yeah. Which I didn't know. Apparently, that's an actual dragon in
oh
D&D,
yeah.
so that's cool.
Guess his name's like Thundercharge or
Um,
something, but a lot of people have nicknamed him
yeah,
Thunderchad now.
Thunderchad. I thought it was Thunderchad. Apparently, it's
Yeah,
Thumberchad.
Thumberchard. Or Chad.
Yeah, I, I think it's Chad. But yeah, um, yeah, I like the cinematography too in the maze.
Yeah,
That was
that
pretty
was
awesome. Which apparently there's little like kind of like
mm,
throwback or like characters from the cartoon, which I was watching because it's on
yep.
YouTube. It's pretty cool. But they added those characters to the movie, so that was a nice little Easter egg
I haven't
for
watched the
people.
cartoon yet, but I was
Um,
I did recognize them and I was like, "Oh boy."
yeah, I didn't even know it was any sort of thing until I went through like YouTube videos and was listening to like reviews of the movie, and they said, "Oh yeah, look
Yep.
for these people." So that was pretty cool. Um, what do you think of the
Um
sound or like sound and score and
thought the
all that?
score was good. Oh,
Yeah, it really went with the
I
movie.
think
I feel, and it was something I
yeah.
would buy really. It wasn't too memorable. Like it wouldn't play in my head if I think of it right now. It's not like it was a Star Wars score where you're gonna
Yep.
remember it right after. But the overall flow worked with the movie. I feel.
There was yeah,
Um,
it was good. Score was good. It wasn't
yeah.
Howard Shore's
Uh,
work on the Lord of the Rings by any means, but
right. Yeah. And then like the sound for me was quite good too. And I'm a sound guy, so you know. However, I wasn't in like an IMAX theater where it would be
Mm,
really really good. But overall, like the mixing to me sounded really on point, and it's not like you couldn't like the Dark Knight movies. Um, Christopher Nolan tends to overpower with the music
yeah.
and the sub and like the low end, so it's hard to hear people sometimes. Whereas this one, didn't seem anything like that. You can hear everything. It was great. They
Yeah.
didn't muffle anything um, with like the music or anything like that. So that was nice. Um, And the effects in that for sound too was quite nice too. Like the choices, it seemed, because you're dealing with magic too, so they can play around.
What does magic really sound like? Do any of us know? I mean, we've got it all made up in our heads, but
well, apparently we know what fresh cut grass looks like.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And that was nice. Apparently, call back to what Critical Role thing or whatever. But
characters is
I didn't realize.
Named Fresh Cut Grass for their current season of their campaign that they're playing through. But,
yeah, I think that might be basically it.
I will say for visual effects, I know some people have like complained a little bit, like with like the CGI for what certain spells looked like, but this was something I talked about with my wife as we were getting Taco Bell. Not sponsored by Taco Bell, but we were getting Taco Bell after the movie, and I was saying just like, some of the games that like I play with like Darcy Driver or some of my other friends, like versions that people make up in their head will always be a little bit better than maybe like a movie that they're going to watch in a theater. So I just, not to get like too invested. Oh man, it didn't look how it looked like in my head. Oh man. These people all have their, like whenever they're playing D&D, they imagine in their heads what all the different spells look like or characters and all that. So, I mean, there's only so much they can do. You can't make everybody happy with that. So,
yeah. But yeah, overall, I think they worked in like the practical effects really well with the digital, because like certain characters, which they could have just, said, oh yeah, we're just going to green screen all this stuff and the character is going to be digital and we don't really care. These characters are going to grab onto this character and it's going to look great, but really it sucks. So they didn't end up doing that. They ended up making it practical, so that made it nice and fun and it's more tangible.
I was watching a reel on the Honor Among Thieves Instagram page of Jarnathan's costume, and they were showing the wing extension.
Yeah, that's the going.
I was like, oh man, that's really cool. They actually had out to full wingspan, which they don't actually show in the film, but it's cool that they still designed it to be accurate to that if they were going to do that. So
yeah.
So nice. Overall, before we head into a little bit of spoilery territory, you already said you liked the movie overall. Do you think this is be an all right film for people who haven't played Dungeons and Dragons, though? That people who have no idea about it can just come in and still like have some good laughs, enjoy.
Yeah, I think so, because like all throughout the movie, they're given little backstories on this character and that character, and in my opinion, you could follow it, because like I'm not really too deep into the lore of Dungeons and Dragons, but they pointed out the certain names of different characters or whatever, but really I didn't need to know the names or anything to be like, oh, I didn't feel like I was missing anything, basically. So it was nice for me. And I like giving a overall rating for like 1 to 10. And for me personally, I'd rate it somewhere between like 8 to 8.4. So 4 out of 5 stars. Which to me, it's 4 to 5 stars type of movie is usually one that is really entertaining and you want to see again and again. And a lot of times it's quotable, in my opinion. So like this movie, I'd definitely say is quotable. And I think the kids would love it. And I think the older folks, like I had a lot of older folks actually in my theater, and they seemed to love it too. So I think it's pretty much there for everybody. But
Yeah, I'd
what about
probably
you?
agree with you. Probably like around like an 8 to maybe a 7.9. But yeah, it was overall really good. Like I do think they did stuff like subtle hints like you were talking about, to like stuff with like rolls,
Yeah,
like or the potato with being a nat 20 or whatever. They
yeah,
didn't push like hardcore D&D rules stuff so much that it like took away from the movie.
yeah,
It just
exactly.
kind of gave you the best, like I would say, film adaptation that we could get nowadays for something like Dungeons and Dragons. So didn't go super serious with it
Yeah, sometimes
like other fantasy
yeah,
franchises and just kind of had fun. So
yeah, and I think they traded off sometimes not having certain rules because it was more
yeah.
entertaining in a way, or it worked better with the movie,
And I know
like with the druid,
I
for
know
instance. So
EMs do that all the time too. Like, even the guys who
yeah,
like some of the guys that work at Wizards of the Coast, the company that makes D&D, they don't all follow the rules by the book. A lot of times they will either they have their own set of rules that they've been using their whole lives or whatever else, just because that's the way they have more fun playing. So
yeah. Well, it's like what I was saying before we recorded. Um, I have different homebrews so that like the cloak of the bat or whatever isn't so overpowered, so the characters can't just
yep.
fly whenever they want. I have it so that it's more like a glider. So they have to have some sort of wind effect or jump from a high place or something like that. And then, you know, things like, which I probably shouldn't have done, but let my one of my player characters bless the decanter of endless water so that he can constantly have holy water. But yeah, it's a bit overpowered. But and it kind of messed us up in the last session we ran, but we got through it and we worked through it, and it actually sometimes we're like going fast in certain things, uh, just because that's how they're playing it, and then because they so basically one of the characters fell through a grate and they ended up before that like barring the door on a ship barring the door, and then like all the characters go down to this second level, and then they say, "Oh yeah, I'm going up to the top level," and then we just totally forget that they barred the door, and then we got to backtrack, saying, "Oh wait a minute, you're not supposed to even be out on the top
You
deck.
barred the door.
You didn't even you barred the door. You can't do that." So then they quickly come up with a plan to get them out, and we said, okay, yeah, that's fine, whatever, you're out. So it's the little things like that, and like oil things, which people come up with. Um, the oil of slipperiness, that was entertaining.
Yeah.
What my brother did with that. And it was a little different than what I had expected, which it works out. They'll probably pay for it in the end later on, but we'll see. But yeah,
Oh,
are you
I'm
ready
ready.
for spoilers? And I do have some time. I have till 9:30 now. Like I
Okay.
pushed my little thing back.
We
So
can do the spoilers now. So if you have not seen Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, go watch it. Get out of here. Click off this video, go watch it, and then come right back to your seat and pick up where we left off.
yeah,
All right.
cool. So where do you want to start?
I am honestly not sure. I mean, I really like we just been talking about before with the cameo with Bradley Cooper. Did not see that coming. I remember my wife was, or no, it wasn't my wife. I was kind of confused with being a halfling. I didn't like that. Didn't
Yeah.
register.
You seem
Yeah, I
pretty
was just
small.
like a halfling or a hobbit, and it didn't like register in my head. I was like, is like the house really big, or is he just really small? And I'm like, no, wait, Hulk is big. And so I was like, oh, right, yeah, hobbit. But because they made no reference to
Yeah.
it before, I was just
Yeah.
like, oh man, he's like really tiny.
Yeah. I mean, I feel it worked. I didn't really like pick up on some things that people did where apparently they used special effects for the chair and had him sit in a green screen chair instead of like having a big
Ah,
chair or something, a real, I don't know. Supposedly that's how somebody
that's
mentioned
kind of
it,
cool.
but I didn't know. I didn't really pick up on it. I don't really care personally. But yeah. Um, but yeah, I love the beginning with Jonathan and how they grabbed the I forget what's that character
Oh, like
in
his
D&D.
species?
Yeah, the
Aarakocra.
species. Oh yeah,
What
Coca.
people?
So yeah, I love how they grabbed him and then jumped down the window, and then they played it off in the end with Hugh Grant's character
Yeah.
trying to do it again. Which, that kind of caught me by surprise. I thought it was gonna actually work, and then I come to find out,
Yeah.
he just likes the wall. they
I
they
think in
jumped
some
into
ways
the
that
grave.
part was almost a subtle nod back to kind of like more the olden days of D&D, and I haven't seen a lot of newer DMs like
Mm.
Percy or even our other friend that I've had be a DM for me use this as much, but like I know that back in the old days a lot of people would be playing through like a massive dungeon or whatever, and sometimes they'd have to leave because they ran out of food, so they'd
Yeah,
have to leave and go back and get rations. And then, like,
yeah, I heard that
yeah,
from your dad. I didn't
yeah,
really
like
know
they'd have
that
to leave
type of
for a
stuff.
week and then come back, and then
But
the
then,
defenses would be like built back up, or like,
yeah,
oh,
that's
the
crazy.
goblins would be like, oh, they broke in through this one wall, oh, we're gonna fortify that wall or put like an ambush there now or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, but it's pretty awesome. Um, depending on what type of uh, role play you like. If you want, if you're not minding, it's because it sounded like it was more like a slow type of campaign. So that would, I mean, I think I would enjoy it.
Mhm.
With all the puzzles and stuff. And some of the older modules I got from my brother, I think we're gonna trade because he has a couple of duplicates. But they have like the whole layout and the map, and it's like pretty extensive. It looks like, so
There's
that's
definitely
pretty
not
cool.
as much dungeon crawling in the
Some
latest edition of D&D. So
yeah. Um, in the movie, they probably could have done well. They could have gone a couple of different ways. They could have done it like this, or they could have done it more serious with like a whole dungeon setting and all this other stuff, where like the goal was, getting treasure or something like that. Which that would be entertaining too. Maybe that's what. Oh, actually, you know what? That Dean or that I think the Joe Manganiello series is supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, a documentary of D&D stuff.
I do
I could be
know he
wrong,
just
but
did or was working on a documentary. Yeah,
okay, maybe it's two different things. Maybe they are
I think
doing
he is
something
also
with
working on another D&D show.
other things
So
too.
last I heard. So yep, doing the
Huh.
documentary and then a new show.
I could
So
look it up real quick. Let me see if it pops on the DB. Up and coming projects: Army of the Dead, Las Vegas. Oh wait, those are actors, so he's going to be under like producers. Maybe in a different. Huh.
it was like just announced, so it might not be on there.
Untitled Dungeons and
Okay.
Dragons documentary. So that's the only one I'm seeing.
Well, I could be misspeaking.
Yeah, it's
Then.
untitled, but yeah. Yeah. Where was I? Can't remember. But yeah, they could have gone either comical or more like serious, of course, and have it be more like an older type of campaign, which I think that would work well with the show. If like, I don't know, Netflix or somebody picked it up a trailer or something. I think that'd be cool. But for a movie, I'm really glad they did it this way, because I think it kind of appeals to more audiences, so demographics. So, and I didn't. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't know about D&D that came up in the movie, like the gelatinous cube. And I only knew of the owl bear because, I saw. Well, no, it's in the owl bear's in the shipwreck, Dragons.
Oh, yep.
Shipwreck Isle. Or Stormwreck Isle, I mean. Yeah.
Yep.
So, that's where I knew about it first, and then it popped up in the movie, and it was, pretty awesome how they used that, which, of course, apparently you can't change into an owl bear when you're druid because apparently it's a monstrosity or whatever monster, so instead of like a creature. Which sucks. And I'm glad they did it so that you can, like, the character kept changing and changing,
more entertaining,
too.
more cinematic. So, actually, thinking about the wild shape, I think one of my favorite sequences of the whole film was when they were doing that, like, pre-heist before they were doing, like, the actual, like, heist, when they were trying to rob that, like, carriage and, like, smuggle the painting thing, and, like, that was probably one of the
that was
best.
awesome.
Yeah.
The Hither staff? That was, which they actually, I don't know if you know, but they actually did release that and a few other things, like the helmet or whatever, as items, magical items in D&D that you can use.
Actually, so it's pretty cool.
So, yeah. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I got them, because you can, like, I guess redeem it, basically, but they're really free. On the new, on D&D Beyond or whatever it is. Yeah. And that's where they release character sheets too. But yeah. And I wasn't, like, I don't know too much about the transportation or teleportation type stuff normally, and I didn't know that wasn't a thing in D&D until somebody said, "Oh yeah, it's not really a thing." But it's nice that they did that, and it was funny because before that part where they use the staff and figure it out, they have the whole, like, Indiana Jones, oh, you got to step in certain places and do all this, and then a character, which normally this happens, somebody steps where they shouldn't and just it all collapses, and then they got to figure out a different way to get over there to a certain place or whatever. But so, and then I like that the brain part where you got the walking brains. That there's parts that apparently attack the people who are
the intellect
have a high intelligence. And and that was a great joke. Which, it's in the trailer, but I didn't really remember it from the trailer if I did even watch the trailer.
It is also funny since most it didn't used to be back in the day, but most people put intelligence as their lowest stat because it doesn't, like, unless you're a wizard, it doesn't really help you in combat. It used to be like the higher your intelligence, the faster you would level up. Like most DMs nowadays have everybody like level up on equal footing, but back in the day, depending on like the race or species you picked, or like and sometimes the class and your intelligence modifier like determined how quick you would level up. So it used to be a little bit more important, so to say, than it is for more modern day D&D characters, but kind of funny.
the graveyard scene that was really entertaining. That was one of the
Yep,
best
that
parts of
was.
yours.
Oh, yeah. I feel bad for that guy that they just leave up
Yeah,
at the end. He's just,
and it's great that they
that's the
had it
fourth
in the
question.
in credits or whatever, or
Yeah.
mid credits really. But yeah, that was the best. Um, and it's definitely something that players would do is just leave a guy sitting there as a joke.
Hmm.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
Or even like how you would screw up on the first one,
Yeah, exactly.
like
Yeah,
trying to talk to those guys,
yeah.
and how they kept messing up the questions.
It would be interesting to use that in a campaign. I don't know if I'd use it in my campaign I'm running now, but like
Hmm.
only one person so far, and that's in my D&D group, other than me, has watched the movie. So
Yeah,
I think it'd work if I put some of these things in there from the movie.
those subtle nods.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be pretty hilarious, um, but I am adding certain other things. I believe we're gonna see if they come up. But
Yeah.
yeah.
You can
Um,
always prepare, but you don't know what your players are gonna do.
right. And I for me, I like creating certain situations, and
Mm.
then I mean, I don't really need to guess what they're gonna do. I mean, partially I have an idea of what they're gonna do, just because I know my players, and how they play things usually. Um, but sometimes they, like right now, they're trying to figure out how to turn on and fix a lighthouse. So I have a setting, and this is one of my homebrews, that
Mhm.
there's a lighthouse, and there's a clock in the lighthouse, and there's a, like, I'm gonna call it fire crystal, because really it's like lights up like fire, and so they go up there really, and the fire crystal has a crack in it, so it's not on. So they know they need to repair it somehow, and with the spell book that I gave them for the ship that I'm allowing them to control with the spell book, they can repair the ship with the spell book, but also
Mhm.
the ship is tied to the spell book because runes on the ship, which
Mm.
I said that you can take the runes from that certain vessel and transport it to another certain vessel, and they'll take like 10 minutes to take off, 10 minutes put it back on a different thing, but they're
Mhm.
not realizing they could just do that real quick, do it to the lighthouse, repair it, and they're all set.
Yeah.
Instead, they're trying to have the one of the players change out, and do like repair magic or something to fix the stone.
Mhm.
But I'm also having it so that if they just fix the crack in it, it's not going to turn on. They actually have to
Mm.
like have some fire to kind of trigger it to turn on. So we'll see if they figure that out. And they
Yeah.
also need to, because there's a clock, it has like chains hanging down. So it's
Mm.
like a grandfather clock where you got to pull it to like recharge the thing. And
Right.
so we'll see if they figure that out too. It may help to, give them a couple of hints or something, but
Well,
yeah,
I don't
it'll
know
be
when your
interesting.
next session is, but I might have to be careful when I post this, so I yeah,
Yeah.
so I
Oh
don't
no.
give too much away to them. But
But yeah, yeah. They probably won't listen to this hopefully all the way because they haven't seen the movie. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, but if they do listen to it before our Tuesday session, which hopefully we do, sometimes we've been having to cancel it. Right now, it's been like every other week almost. But anyways, getting back to the movie real quick. What other parts that came up were some of your favorites? Some of mine actually were like in the maze and all that, because it had some nice battles, and the characters had to figure out, what to do. And it was almost like a Harry Potter ish with like figuring out things in the maze, or Maze Runner and that sort of thing, but like quicker in a way, right? So
yeah, it wasn't a big slice of the movie, even though the trailer would make you think the entire almost the entire movie takes place in the arena. But I thought the arena was good. I was glad they incorporated the displacer beasts, like kind of like a leopard, or like not leopard, a panther type creature with the tentacles. And I really did like when Zenk is leaving the party. I liked how they had him as just kind of like a guest character, like people sometimes have in their campaigns. It'll just
like an NPC
for
character,
a dungeon, like a character, like say like I might play in your Dragons of Stormwreck Isle for like a couple sessions to help them get through like a dungeon or something, and then stop playing with you guys or something because I'm not a regular player, just coming to hang out. But.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that in a different review too. It does make sense, yeah. And apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently paladins are pretty overpowered, so that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, and he I love the part when he walked over the rock, because he's like the idea of he's just so straight laced.
Yeah, that was pretty great. And somebody also pointed out about the gelatinous cube, which I didn't understand quite. Like, because I didn't know what a gelatinous cube was in the first place, and then Sophia Lilla's character put her hand in it or whatever, and then suddenly she doesn't have like part of her armor, like a gauntlet or something, whatever she was wearing. And then she suddenly figures out what to do. I was kind of confused about that, and how that all worked, about how they got out. And the other thing is, apparently it's like acid or something where it eats at your skin. So that kind of didn't make sense. And like somebody said, in the very least, they would have had red skin, right, to show that they were getting burned by the acid or whatever. But
they would have had at least second or third degree burns, like on their skin after getting out of that.
Right, and that's one. That would have been a perfect time to say use a healing potion or something, which they never had to do, apparently. So that was interesting.
Yeah,
so they could have fixed that a little bit and made it tighter, but.
And that could be something to be said too. Like, there was never a circumstance when any of the characters, like, this would maybe be like more of a negative critique of it, but just like there was never a moment where the characters were like ever like, oh man, they're in danger, until right at the end where like Holga died.
Yeah,
I mean,
other than that,
they weren't going for like super realistic, because I mean, there's that one scene when they're Holga and Chris Pine's character Edwin. That's how you pronounce it, Edwin. They were like attacking, or Edgin.
Yeah.
Were attacking guards. That's where she steals the axe and like lifts up the cobblestone brick up from under her when she's about to be executed, and like turns the tables on him, like where she's like beating the other guys up, and then he's like still just trying to get out of his ropes.
Yeah, that was a nat 20 and a nat 1 altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked out well. Let me see.
I thought the inclusion of Saz Tam is like the eventual, like maybe if they do continue to do like more movies like that's connected to that one, like in a Marvel fashion, I thought having like that other evil behind the red wizard lady that they were fighting. I thought was a good, like, now they have the opportunity to kind of like keep going with that, and then they could even definitely like lean into like Zenk's storyline even more, because he's like he's from the Thay, and it's a red
Yeah.
Tam's the evil wizard of Thay that like killed all his family. So
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think part of the reason why people aren't going too is because they're kind of so jaded by all this, like video game movies and all this stuff that usually does bad and they mess it up.
Yep.
So a lot of people I think are thinking it's going to be like that, where they're gonna wreck the story and everything, which is really too bad. And then other people, it's probably like they figured, oh, it's D&D, so it's not really for me, but really it's not that way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I know some people were just boycotting it out of spite for what happened with the OGL, which I mean, I can understand wasn't a great thing that they were trying to do.
What does OGL mean?
So back in the day, I can't remember exactly when it was, Wizards of the Coast.
The online gaming something?
Open gaming license.
Oh,
so they basically said that like third-party people that aren't them could make books based off of their like edition of D&D. Like I could write a book of magic items and I could sell it. I don't have to pay Wizards of the Coast anything. Wizards of the Coast saying, "Oh, we want a little bit of that money. We want to like."
I mean, it's any big company, basically.
Money, yeah. We want the people's money, and then we also want to like any idea. Like, say, if you came up with like a homebrew adventure,
that really should be illegal. Hey, unless they're selling it on their platform online. You know what I mean? If it's through their site that people are selling it, then that would make sense, because of course they need a profit, because they're going through them to get to the item. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like D&D, I think they did it back in the 80s. I think did that to just kind of like protect people, because like a lot of things in D&D that are now like the standard of today were ended up that stuff that was like created at people's like kitchen tables when they were playing the game, like thieves or rogues was something that somebody had come up with at their table and then sent a letter to Gary Gygax, the guy who created the game, and was like, hey, we had really fun with this this kind of character. You might want to consider putting it in the game. And then he liked it so much that he decided he did want to put it in the game. So there's definitely always kind of been a like people
collaborative,
coming up with their own thing at the table. And so a lot of people just kind of felt like that is like a stab in the back, which I mean, I get, but there seems to be a culture nowadays of like uber negativity where it's so easy to be negative. Where I didn't like that they did that. I even made a video on the channel about saying that I didn't like they did that. But doesn't mean that everybody who works there at the company is like an evil person or anything like that. Like it's so easy to get on a bandwagon and be like, oh, we hate this or we hate that, but most of the time. I mean, D&D is one of those few things that allows people to do stuff like that. Most, like, say if you tried to like sell Baby Yoda cookies at like a store or something and you didn't get Disney's permission, like they'll come after you. Take their intellectual property very seriously. So it's definitely like a unique situation as far as that goes. But I do know quite a few people that were just like, yeah, I'm not going to go just because of that alone. So, or just even like started bad talking about it, even though they never watched the film, which that is something that frustrates me a lot too. It's like,
exactly.
If you haven't watched it, like you can say what other people have said, but you don't have any legitimate criticisms of your own if you haven't gone to watch said movie. But
Yeah, sometimes people just get impressions from the trailer too,
Mhm.
which a lot of times they do show too much, and a lot of times, in my opinion, for me at least, I can just from the trailer I can tell if I'll like the movie or not.
Mhm.
Which even before watching the trailer, I mean, of course, the D&D, I wanted to see the D&D movie, and I was all set for it to be pretty cool and awesome. So, which it turned out to be. So, which is great. What do you think about the end with the character arc? And actually, I mean, some of the things in the movie too were predictable in my opinion, but it was like a good sort of predictable.
Yep.
But yeah, with the little changing from his wife to Holga and saving her life.
Mhm. I thought like a lot of the general themes in the movie were like very well put, like that he was like a thief, or he had been somebody like Edgin was someone that was noble, did an ignoble thing and then paid the price for it.
Mm.
Then like kind of the redeeming aspect of the film where he comes back around at the end of it and saves Holga. Like I thought that was a very good story, or even just like with how he ends up being able to reconnect with his daughter. So,
Yeah.
because I mean, I think the best stories, its core, end up being about family. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
why Star Wars like resonates with so many people, because at the end of the day, it's a story about family and like a father and son, like Luke and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So
I also like the part, and I think it was probably halfway or closer towards the end, the part where he was kind of confronting his daughter in the special room or whatever,
mhm.
or the room, and he was explaining, oh, why his purpose is for saving her and blah 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 or whatever, and then she turns out to be the bad lady,
Oh yeah,
which
the Red Wizard,
like just
Safina.
yeah, it was like a little bit before that I was thinking, oh wait a minute, this got to be the bad lady,
Yeah,
but I didn't catch it right off. Definitely, they did pretty good at that.
yeah. There were certain things, yeah, like you were saying, predictable, but nothing like so bad that it's like, I can't watch this. So
Yeah. Um, but it was definitely like the movie. I had seen John Wick like week or two previous, I think it was.
mm,
Um, and that one was quite good too.
yep.
It's probably one of the best, if not the best, John Wick ones.
Mm.
Um, and I like both of them probably right around equally. I mean, they're totally different films, but yeah,
Like
that
them for
one's really
different
good too.
things.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And I mean, if anything hurts the box office numbers on this movie, I would say that it would be that it releases right between John Wick 4 and then the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, that
I know
too.
if I
I
was
think it was.
like, if my son was a little older, if I like, me and my wife were going to be taking our son to a film and we had the choice between Dungeons and Dragons that we both wanted to see and Super Mario, we'd probably end up going to see Super Mario instead, just because our kid would want to go see it. We'd
Yeah, exactly.
go to the movie they want to go see, not necessarily what we want to see. But
Which I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure I've seen a trailer, at least one, but I don't know if I'll really care for it or not. I think supposedly people are liking it. One of my students I drive with, they said that I think she said it was okay movie, but then her brother apparently loved the movie and he was like 7 or whatever. Um, but yeah, I was
some
gonna
people were
say something. I can't
disappointed it
remember
didn't.
now.
I guess they didn't have the guy who does the voice of Mario in the games do the voice for Mario. They had Chris
Mm,
Pratt, so some people were upset about that. But
yeah, that's how Hollywood is, though.
yeah.
A lot of times. Um, but speaking of voices and stuff,
Hmm.
do you watch Mandalorian and all that?
I haven't watched the current season, but I've watched the first two.
Oh man, it's like this past episode was wicked good, and it's going to tie in with Ahsoka and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like I'm not going to spoil it for you, but with a certain character drop name, that was kind of pretty big. But with the new episode, I actually predicted a couple of things. I was like, "Yep, it's that character," and then, "Yep, it's that character." And then another thing was, it was the same exact type of thing. It was the same exact character that showed up later, but it was a bit predictable, but it was pretty great with how they're doing it. Which, in my opinion, probably Mandalorian series is one of the best ones that they're doing for series. And then, like Chick was saying, he thinks Andor was the best, but I don't know. I mean, the last couple of episodes of Andor is really good. But other than that, in my opinion, like before that, a lot of times it's quite, not too entertaining, a bit boring, that sort of thing. But
I haven't watched Andor yet, so I can't comment specifically on that. But
it's hard to get into, really. But yeah, anyways, I need to see the Dungeons and Dragons movie again.
Yep.
At some point. And I'll probably end up going by myself. I was wanting to go with some other people, but like people from the D&D group and stuff, but they seem to be a bit busy, and
it's hard enough
I'll probably just
games, let alone make it to a movie.
Right, exactly. I want to take my parents and go see it, but they'll probably just wait till it comes out. Yeah. Yeah. Which actually, pretty sure I already pre-ordered the movie.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I did that with Best Buy because they were coming out with the Steelbook, and I tried to get the Steelbooks. And you got to pre-order like months and months in advance, or else they sell out. Because people like hog them and then resell them and stuff.
Scalpers.
But yeah, exactly. I'm trying to see if. Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, it's the 4K Blu-ray, which I think is a Steelbook.
Nice.
But yeah.
All right.
I think that's all I have.
Yeah,
I got 4 minutes before my next thing.
Yeah. That was about all I had too. So thank you for joining us. Soundhead18, go ahead, dear listener, and go follow him on Instagram if you're into comic books or anything like that.
Yeah, I've been posting comic books recently.
Yep. So, all right.
And then I do have YouTube, but I haven't been posting recently, so just do a couple videos. But yeah, your channel's been quite entertaining.
Thanks, man.
So you've just posted it to YouTube, right?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
YouTube, cool. Spotify, Audible. Yeah, because we tried to do the audio versions too. So, all right, man. Thank you for joining us. We'll have to do it again sometime.
See you later.
See you later.